Hello, Unfiltered Waters family, and welcome back. This week, I am so honored to announce that our guest is Simone Manuel. Simone is a 5-time Olympic medalist, 2 of which are gold. And in 2016 at the Olympic Games, she became the first Black woman ever to win an individual gold medal in swimming. This conversation with Simone is wonderful. We talk about so many things, from the good, the highs, like recently getting married, her 2 weddings, they were to the same person, and her buying a new house, trying to decorate it. She's currently in Arizona. She made the move to train with Bob Bowman. We talk a lot about that transition. And then we also talk about the lows and the hard times that she is overcome and really fought through, like overtraining syndrome prior to the Tokyo Olympic Games, and her finding the joy again in swimming and her road back to being the best version of herself that she can be. Simone is so open about everything. She talks about the responsibility she feels as a Black woman in the sport, all the work that she's doing with her own foundation, the Simone Manuel Foundation, and so much more. Thank you so much for listening, and please enjoy this episode with Simone Manuel.
This podcast is a Cannonball Media production.
As Olympians and elite athletes, Katie and I definitely understand the importance of sleep and recovery, but now just as a mom, as a professional, as podcast host, we still understand that sleep is so important. And we are incredibly thankful to one of our sponsors, Dream Recovery, for creating such incredible and impactful products that are science-backed to help you get the optimal night's sleep.
My favorite product is the Pink Dream Tape. I have not stopped wearing it since I put it on my mouth 6 months ago. It helps me fall asleep faster and gives me the best night's sleep I've ever had.
And for those of you that are a little hesitant about mouth taping, they just released mouth strips. So it's a little strip as opposed to the full tape. It has all the same benefits as a full piece of tape, but it's a little bit more of a segue for those who are a little bit nervous or are wanting to try out something. And I have been loving those.
So we've got a special code for you. It's code Unfiltered for 30% off your order and 50% off your first month subscription of Dream Tape. Sweet dreams.
Good night. Create gummies have been such a lifesaver for me. Not only are they supporting my strength and recovery goals, but they also help increase your energy by boosting your ATP production inside the body. And as a mom of a 2.5-year-old, I am always looking for ways to boost my energy. Create gives us the ability to stay consistent when on the road and in our busy schedules. It's grab and go, they are delicious, and their brand new flavor, sour green apple, is out of this world. Try the incredible sampler pack of all 4 flavors and find which flavor is your favorite. You guys can use code UNFILTERED for 20% off your order. Try the new flavor out and let us know what you think.
Simone Manuel, welcome to Unfiltered Waters.
Thank you. So excited.
Yes, and we're talking to you on a Wednesday, which Missy and I were talking. We always have our guests on Wednesdays, and so I feel like we're catching people at a very vulnerable state because they're in the middle of the week. So how's this week gone training-wise?
The week's gone well. You know, you usually kind of hit it a little hard Monday and Tuesday, and also Wednesday. Wednesday, we usually suit up. So I don't know. I've been doing a lot of sprinting lately, so I've been hitting it really hard, and especially with Olympic trials coming up. So it's been a good week.
Oh, good. And we're so excited to get into your training and ASU and everything. Katie and I were just saying and telling you, we're just so excited to have you here. We have so much that we want to talk about, and we're so thankful for your time. But we want to kind of get into a little bit of the more fun stuff first. And we want to talk about your 2 weddings. And we are so excited to hear about both of them. So your husband, Denzel, you guys did an elopement, I believe, was it November of 2022?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then had a big celebration with all of your friends a year later in 2023. So we want to hear about that, life with Denzel now being married, but talk to us about the weddings and both the elopement and the big celebration and what those celebrations were like for you.
Yeah, so we got engaged July 3rd of 2022. And I kind of knew it was coming, but also at the same time, we had been talking about what the next months were going to look like for us because we knew that I was going to take the big move to Arizona. And I wanted him to come. We didn't want to do long distance. And because everything moved so rapidly, we were like, why don't we just get married now? we're starting this new journey together in Arizona together. So let's just do it. And then we were planning for the bigger wedding, and it was kind of quick. Like planning a wedding in a year is pretty difficult, but
It is.
he was like, let's just wait till hopefully after Paris. And I didn't want to do that. Partially because I know that I wouldn't see a lot of my family and friends after hopefully making the team in Paris. And I didn't want the wedding to be connected to my Olympic experience. You know, if I were to make the team, I want it to really be centered around us as a couple. And so that's kind of why we got married in 2022 and then had the wedding in 2023, actually on our 1 year anniversary, which was like a pretty cool way to celebrate our first year as a married couple. And it was so much fun with our family and friends. To be surrounded by so much love and community was really special. And I want to do it all over again, but they're so expensive. like the party of a lifetime, honestly.
And it's so wild when you look around and you see essentially anyone that has ever been important to you at every stage of your life, and they're all in one place, and it's almost this like Twilight Zone moment. But it's so cool looking around. What was your favorite moment from the elopement and from the big celebration?
I think my favorite moment from the elopement was just how private and intimate it was. It was just myself, Denzel, his parents, my parents, and my grandmother. And it was against this beautiful Arizona backdrop of First Water Trailhead. So they had amazing mountains. You kind of had the cacti. And there was also other people milling around, but it was really special because you could tell that they could feel our love, even though they were just random people on a walk. Because I think we got married on a Thursday. But it was just really special for it to be that intimate. We wrote our own vows. I think they were like 5 minutes long each. So that was really special because obviously you do share how you feel with your partner, but to really like sit down and think about all the ways that they shaped and helped you and loved on you and supported you was one of my favorite moments, was definitely reading our vows. And then for our wedding, obviously the party, like just connecting with family and friends. My parents surprised us with a ballet dance. So it was a male and female dancers dancing to, I don't know the title of the song, but it's like, "This is why I love you." And then it keeps going.
I totally know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
It was so beautiful because I did ballet for 9 years, and I don't know, I've never heard about having ballet dancers perform at a wedding, but I thought it was really special, and it was such a surprise that everybody really enjoyed. So definitely the ballet dancers and just the whole reception.
Oh my God. For a second, I thought that when you said that your parents were doing the dance,
That's
and I was like, wait, back up. I need more in this story, but I'm on the same page now.
Yes, sorry.
We both
explain
were
that
like,
better.
No, it's all good. And did you, I know you probably had some help, but were you a very particular bride, or were you like it's fine, everyone's coming, it's a party, I don't care?
I think I was a little bit of both. My mom and my wedding planner played a huge part in the process. My mom didn't want it to take away from training or distract me. And when she got married, she was so involved in the planning process that she was actually sick on her wedding day and through her honeymoon. And so she was like, I don't want to put you through that because it is a very stressful time.
Yes.
It's exciting, but it's stressful. So she was like, I don't want that to happen to you. And so I was particular about some things. Like I was very particular. I wanted fresh flowers. Like I was very particular about some of the colors that I wanted in the wedding, but it was like really small and minor details. Like I just told the bridesmaids, here's the color, here's the fabric, pick whatever. Like I was very nonchalant about some things and particular about, I feel like the more important things, like the dress, the shoes, how I looked.
Yeah. That's a very good balance to have. Well, you looked beautiful in both days. The pictures that came out of both were just absolutely amazing. How is it just being married? Like I know for me, like having that constant there. And obviously my husband Hayes was a constant in my life before that, but there's just something so secure and comforting, especially when you are a professional athlete or you do something that can be really high pressure, to know that there is this person that literally has your back through anything and everything. Do you feel like that's almost kind of given you that sense of comfort since you guys have been together and gotten married?
Absolutely. I don't think I could really say it any better than you have. Like, he really has just been a constant source of support and inspiration. I can vent to him and he's able to receive it well. But I think what has helped in being in the relationship is knowing that my priority isn't just swimming. Like, he also is my priority as well. And that allows me to, in some ways, balance swimming better. There's more to life than swimming. I have this wonderful relationship, and I'm building this wonderful life with someone, and we both have these goals that we want to reach. And when days are hard in swimming, I'm able to talk to him about his career and his aspirations and how I can help support him. And so it's been a wonderful time to just spend time with your best friend and have that constant. But I think it has allowed me to kind of see that, yes, swimming is important, but there's so much more to life than swimming.
Yeah, that's
so beautiful.
So beautiful. And I felt the same way. I feel like there's something to people talk about, like, oh my God, I was freaking out and I was like going to run the other way before I went down the aisle. And I'm always like, oh my gosh, like I felt like it was the opposite, because you know it's going to end really well. It's not like before a race where you're like, this could go badly. I don't know. But before the aisle, you're like, oh my God, this is like a really intense moment in my life for the first time. I know it's just going to be the best thing ever. And so that's what I found so beautiful about those moments is like, we've been through kind of hell and back with like pressure and really intense situations. And this is something that can be perceived that way, but it's just viewed as like the best thing of your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I want to shift gears a little bit. I'd love to talk about US Open and your performances there. Best time since you've been back. What were your thoughts on it?
I was really pleased with my US Open performance. I mean, it's been a journey of highs and lows. And so just to kind of see, I think I saw progress along the way, but I think that was kind of like really like a I don't even know what to say. I just feel like
solidification.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, it was, why am I blanking on the word?
I'm also blanking because
it was a breakthrough. Like,
okay.
I just felt like it was a breakthrough in my journey back. And it was the first time in a while that I felt confident racing. I get a lot of my confidence from training. And I've been working hard since I got back in the pool, but you want to see the results also at meets. And I hadn't been seeing that, and just continuing to go down the path of working hard in practice, trusting the process. I just came down from altitude, so I'm like, hopefully this helps a little bit. And the performances were good. I was pleased with it. Obviously felt like there's still more that I need to improve on, but that was like the first time in a while that I had been really proud of the performances that I had posted. And that's something that's new for me, is like really kind of patting myself on the back throughout the process. And so those performances really have kind of encouraged me to continue to just think about swimming in the ways that I've been continuing to think about swimming, continue to have fun, continue to enjoy the process. So I was really happy with the end of the year, US Open, and kind of bridging me into this Olympic year.
That's awesome.
That encouragement is so important. And I kind of want to timeline it out a little bit for people that may not understand totally, because that encouragement, it makes me so happy to hear that you felt that, because those were your best times that you had gone since you returned to competition in January of 2022. And this was just last December of 2023.
A full year.
So that whole process that you went through, I mean, this stuff takes time. And so just wanted to kind of clarify that for anyone listening that may not have understood, like just exactly how long you have been putting in this effort for, and for you to finally get to that place where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling confident and I knew I was capable, but now I'm actually doing it. And for that to give you what you need, especially moving into this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, watching your journey, even before that, I would love to talk about overtraining syndrome. I know you've talked about this a little bit, but I think for people listening or people who even have, seen it written, there's not a ton of information out there. And I've gone down a rabbit hole looking at everything. And it's not just, I think in our sport, right? So many people are like, oh, I'm overtrained, or, oh, I'm tired. Like, that's not what you went through. And so I would love for you to kind of shed some light on what you actually experienced and what overtraining syndrome is. Because for people who don't know, it's what you were diagnosed with, heading into Tokyo and after.
Yeah, so I think what you're describing in some ways is overreaching. Like everybody in a sense kind of overreaches. Like when you're trying to reach a goal, you're pushing yourself to the max and then you're not able to recover. But overtraining is continuing to push yourself to this high intensity and continuing to have, low recovery days, when your body's not able to adapt to the work that it's put in. And so I started to kind of see a decrease in my performances in practice for a couple of weeks. And it got pretty bad before the San Antonio meet in 2021. I think that was in March, because usually they don't have meets in February. And throughout that meet, I felt bad going in, but throughout that meet, I felt terrible. And I was talking to Keenan Robinson a lot about what was going on. And he said, you need to go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor. I explained to him all my symptoms. I was like, my heart rate is high. My HRV is low. I'm not sleeping well. Like, I don't have an appetite. And after I kind of explained what I was going through and how my performances were continuing to decline, he just looked at me and he goes, "You're overtrained." And it was a pretty hard thing to hear. I think anytime someone has an injury or illness, like, you want to know what's going on because you want to kind of have a definitive answer, but also it's really scary at the same time. And so I had no clue what that even meant. I just knew on my own that things were bad. Like, I was unwell. And I went back to practice. I tried to continue to train and modify practices, but it wasn't going well. I still was performing poorly and not recovering well. And at that time, the only decision I could make was to take some time off. So I took 3 weeks off of training, which is not something anybody wants to do when they're having their eyes ahead to Olympic trials and hopefully the Olympic Games. But my doctor told me, he was like, if you continue to train right now, you might not ever swim again, because that's just how poorly my body was functioning. So I took the 3 weeks off and I continued to train as best as I could. And the 3 weeks wasn't enough, but that was all I really felt like I could take off to continue to hopefully, train, but not really train, to get to Olympic trials. And then after we saw how that went, not very well, but also, I look back and I'm very proud of myself, because I kind of feel like there really shouldn't have been a reason for me to be on the Olympic team, just with how bad I was physically, mentally, and emotionally. But I'm grateful that I still had that experience. And when I came back from Tokyo, I met with the doctor again, and he asked me how long I felt like I needed to take off. And I told him at least until January. And I took off until January, and I wasn't allowed to do any physical activity. I wasn't allowed to get my heart rate up at all. It was really about giving my body total rest so that it could just continue to try to recover and get healthy.
Did you experience any, I know you did, but how much doubt did you experience in your head throughout that process? Because I know when I had my blood clot, and there wasn't a lot of information. Similarly with your doctor, just like, oh, you're overtrained, and not giving you a lot of information of what's next, how long it will take. How did you manage that doubt and kind of that, everyone else having their own opinions about it as well? I always like to say they're armchair doctors across the world, and they're very loud in their opinions. And I feel like from the outside looking in, you did an incredible job with that, but I'm sure it wasn't easy.
Oh, I struggled so much internally. I think when I knew things were bad before I got the diagnosis, but I think that once I got the diagnosis and started to do research on it, I knew that my chances of making the team were going to be slim to none. And I really struggled with even deciding to go to Olympic trials. I struggled with what to communicate to people, if I should communicate at all. And unfortunately, I got asked to do a press conference before Olympic trials. And I really didn't want to do it because I didn't want to kind of sit in front of the media and talk about how excited I was for Olympic trials when when I knew I wasn't at my best. And it was difficult because, like you said, I didn't want to kind of hear what other people were saying, for other people to kind of invalidate my experience, or for other people to say, oh no, she was making excuses. That's why she didn't make the team, was because she made this excuse, or she didn't do the work. It's like, no, I actually was unhealthy. And I think I struggled with, if I say something before, people are going to say that I'm scared or I can't handle expectations. And then if I say something after, people are going to say that I'm making excuses. So it's like, you kind of like the
It's like you
damned if you
can't
do,
win.
damned if you don't type thing. And so I was dealing with the external of what other people were going to say, but then I also was dealing with the internal of like what's right for me. And that was really difficult too, because I was, you're getting these warnings from your doctor, like things are not well. Like if you continue to go, you might not ever swim again. And it was kind of the same even after I got back from Tokyo. It's like when you get back in the water, we don't know if you'll ever be able to perform at the level that you did before. Your body can go back into this state because once you've hit it once, it can happen again a lot easier. And so I struggled with deciding if I wanted to do it just based off of my own internal feelings. And I went back and forth, and a huge part of me was like, I'd rather try and fail than not try at all. And that kind of gave me a little bit more peace as I continued on the road to hopefully making the team in Tokyo, which I gladly did.
She did.
I just relate to so much of that, Simone, and I'm so grateful that you've been so open about sharing your experience. And, you said before that, trials didn't go well, but the fact that you made the team, after what you had been diagnosed with, and not only the physical side, but as you just explained to us, the mental and emotional aspect of everything that went along with that as well. And then the part that I particularly relate to is at trials, you missed the team in the 100 freestyle, which is what you were the reigning Olympic gold medalist in. I had the exact same experience in 2016. I missed the team in the 100 backstroke right off the bat, reigning Olympic gold medalist. And I remember going back to my hotel room and just sobbing for like 3 hours. I was embarrassed. I was disappointed, like shell shocked. And I literally had that exact same conversation with myself of like, there was such a big part of me that literally just wanted to pack my bags and go home. And I was like, I will never forgive myself if I just leave now without trying and coming back and making the team in the 200 freestyle. I still don't really even know how I did it. And so watching you come back and then win the 50 freestyle and secure your spot on the team, what did that moment feel like to you when you touched the wall, turned around and saw that you are now a 2-time Olympian and that you had in fact made the Olympic team?
So it's mixed emotions. I felt like I was finally able to take a deep breath because I think throughout that process, especially the days from the 100 free missing the team to the 50 free, I was just like holding my breath. Like, I just wanted to see the end. Like, I didn't know what the end was going to be. I just wanted to get it over with. Like, the hours seemed long, the minutes, the seconds seemed long till I found out if I was going to make the team or not. And so it really was just such a relief to make the team. I was excited, but I think also at the same time, I still was upset because I still knew I wasn't at my best. I still knew I had, a month and a half more to train with my body still not able to swim the way I would want it to perform the way I wanted it to perform. And then I think on top of that, I also just had a rush of emotions. I remember having a conversation with my mom and telling her that I felt like making the 50 free was a consolation prize because that was not my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal was not just to make the team in the 50 free. My ultimate goal was to hopefully make it in the 100 free and defend my title, make it in the 50 free and win another individual Olympic medal and hopefully be a part of those, the legacy of USA swimming relays. And so it was a very hard, emotional kind of tug of war with making the team. I don't know what I would have felt like if I didn't. I'm glad I don't know what that feels like, but it still was hard when you have these high expectations and other people have these high expectations of you and you fall very well short of them. But then also you're proud of yourself because I didn't have to get back up. Like I think it would have been perfectly fine and normal for me to miss the team in the 100 free, let the world know, hey, I was overtrained, I'm not healthy, and go home and it be okay. But, I had to live with myself as well. And so it's a loaded question. And I think you understand where I'm going. I could talk about this forever, but there's just it's hard to really encapsulate what those emotions feel like in, like in a short snippet.
Yes. And in the pressure cooker that is just that season of Olympic trials and the Olympics. Because I remember feeling that same way of 200 free, touching the wall, feeling like I could breathe again. But then I think my next thought was, oh my gosh, I'm now going to have to do this all over again in 4 weeks at the Olympic Games. Like this, I could have been done and I could have gone home and I could have rested and I could have seen my doctor. But now I'm set. You're buckled in. Yeah. And we have to go through it again.
I think that's the thing that we've talked about this before. It's really hard to describe, right? You want to be like, for some people making the team, that's their dream, right? But you're coming into it as like you won gold in 2016 in the 100 freestyle. So for you, just making the team it's amazing, but it's not your best. And I struggle with this too. It's like, well, you don't want to say that because then you feel like people are going to think that you're not grateful. But that's what you're feeling in your heart. And so when you don't say that and you keep that in, it makes you feel just like you're living this inauthentic life. And it's so that like we could talk about this all day because it is a struggle. But I always use the example of like in business, if you're, someone who is making $1 billion, but you want to make another 10, no one's like, oh, well, I feel sorry that you didn't hit that goal. But for that person in business, that's their best. And so I think it's something that has made me very heightened to people who are striving for excellence of being cognizant of what is their best and cheering them on for that and not looking at them and saying like, oh, well, at least you made it, right. Because that's just it just makes you so invalidated.
Exactly.
What was your biggest takeaway from Tokyo? Obviously, that Olympics itself had so many challenges, just it being pushed back a year, not having any spectators. I know it was so different, constantly being tested for COVID, but kind of looking back on just particularly those 8 days of being at the Olympics, what was your big takeaway for yourself from that?
Those 8 days were probably the hardest days of my life, to be honest. Just being on the bus and I forgot who asked me, but they were like 100 free final tonight, and I'm like, oh, nope. not me.
I bet they felt real good after that.
Like, or you're on the bus with Sarah, you're on the bus with these Emma McKeon and all these other people who are about to swim in the final, and you're just going there to warm up. Like, it was a really hard time, but I think the takeaway that I took from Tokyo was to be proud of myself. To be proud of myself for that experience that I went through that year, but I think to be proud of myself for the successes that I've had along the way, the person that I am, the teammate that I am, the sister that I am, the daughter that I am, just be part of who I am be proud of who I am as Simone. And I think I had that takeaway because I heard some of the negative noise after I didn't qualify for the team or after I didn't make the Olympic final in the 50 free. And the only way I knew how to pick myself back up was to be proud of what I've done. And that's something that I typically don't do. I'm always like, okay, I accomplished that. Let's move on to the next thing. And I actually haven't spent a lot of time relishing in the success that I've made in this sport, really in and out of the pool. That's my personality. I'm just a go-getter. But I think that once I hit that low, it was really important for me to uplift myself in a way that was positive. And even though those accomplishments were in the past, that doesn't make them any less significant. Like, to be an Olympic champion, whether you did it in 2016, 2012, 2008, and you don't get another one 8 years later, that doesn't make the one in 2008 not important. And so I just had to kind of just encourage myself, especially because my family wasn't there. Of course, I talked to them, but it's not the same. And a lot of that really was just finding ways to be proud of who I was.
Element's mission is to restore health through hydration and recovery. Something that Missy and I have really been focused on is to ensure that we are hydrated prior to starting our day.
Yes, something that I would do is have my electrolytes after my workout. And what we've really been realizing is that when it comes to replacing lost electrolytes, preparing ahead of time is much better than chasing them afterwards. So we've been enjoying our element about 30 minutes before we go into our workout or exercise.
So my favorite flavor, although it switches on the daily, is currently grapefruit.
And mine is orange salt because I'm having it in the morning and it's just so reminiscent of an amazing glass of orange juice.
We've got a special code for you. It's Unfiltered, which gives you a free gift with purchase, which is an 8-flavor sample pack. So you guys can find your favorite flavor as well. Drink up.
Hey everyone, we just wanted to give a super special shout out to our amazing production staff over at Cannonball Media. We have an amazing team behind this podcast and we couldn't do it without them. So thank you so much for all of your help.
If you're looking to start your own podcast, they take care of everything from A to Z. So reach out to cannonballmedia.co. How did you do that? Because that's a really difficult thing to go from, I'm hearing negative noise, I'm upset with my performance, to get to pride and proud of yourself. What steps did you take to get there?
Yeah, it's been a process. I think a lot of it has definitely been the work that I've done with my sports psychologists. A lot of it has also been my family as well. They're so encouraging and uplifting, but I think I went through that process simply because I was so much at a low. I was depressed. I was sad. I was angry. I was embarrassed that it didn't do me any justice to continue to fuel what other people were saying about me. It didn't do me any justice to continue to allow their words to be louder than my own words. And I still had them. I still had them internally. Me saying to be proud of myself wasn't that I didn't acknowledge those emotions and come home to Texas and cry for days about it, but trying to focus on my own positives, I think allowed me to kind of hush the noise of other people because I was already dealing with my own noise. I can't deal with both. I've got to attack one. And so that's kind of I think why I kind of, I guess, instilled that be proud of myself feeling after Tokyo.
That is so powerful. And you are so, so spot on with handling both sets of noise is just too much. And just sometimes it takes getting to that point to be like, I can't do it. Like I have to figure something else out because this is just not the way that it's working. And Katie and I talk a lot about celebrating the small wins along the way as well, because we can focus so much on the destination that we lose sight of the journey and the process, which is 99% of our lives. And so kind of taking a step back and being like, okay, this is amazing. This may not be where I want to be. This may not be the finish line, but I am proving to myself that I am on the right track to get there. What has been your biggest moment of celebration for yourself kind of within the last couple years? I know we talked about US Open and those times, but maybe even outside of the water, moments where you're like, okay, no, I'm in the right place. I'm surrounded by the right people and I know I'm doing all the right things.
Honestly, a lot of it would have to be, genuinely speaking, my practices at ASU. I will be driving to and from practice, or Denzel and I will have date night and we'll be like, can you believe we're in Arizona? Like, because I never would have thought my journey would have taken me here. And I'll come back from practice. I always talk to my mom on the phone on the way home from practice, and I'll talk about the set, or I'll be like, oh, this person encouraged me, and I'm encouraging them too, but I'm like, the group, the energy, the support has been really special, and it really has been a highlight of my comeback. It's just the coaches, the teammates, the staff has been so supportive and encouraging, and it's just a fun group to work with. Like, honestly, I couldn't imagine going anywhere else.
I love a post-practice mom call debrief.
They are the best.
It's like, I hit this and I hit this, and no one else really cares what I did on this 25 breaststroke kick, but like, you care, or you're gonna pretend to care.
They don't even understand. My mom's like, well, is that fast? I'm like, yeah, that's good. Like,
are you happy? Okay, then I'm happy.
Exactly.
It's the best. Well, that is perfect timing of just talking about ASU. From Instagram, it looks like you guys have such a blast and have so much fun. I read a quote Bob talked about of just how patient and how long things were going to take when you flew out there and settled there. Talk to us a little bit about how ASU, how Bob, how your teammates have helped you stay so patient and steadfast in your journey back.
Yeah, I think starting with Bob, and I also work with Herbie, is they have reminded me to be proud of myself. And I think they knew that throughout this journey, there was going to be a lot of times where I was going to be discouraged, that I was not going to kind of see the needle move. I wasn't going to feel like there was progress. And even when I was going 54.5, they're like, no, Simone, you need to be proud of yourself. I think it's simply because I just got back up and tried again. But also their coaches, sometimes they can see things a little farther out than we can. And I think it was just reminding me to continue to be persistent and continue to trust the process. But, I had a practice last week, and I didn't feel good through the practice, but I swam fairly well, and I was in Herbie's group that day, and Bob was like, you look good over there. And I was like, well, I sure didn't feel good. He's like, oh no, it's all over. Like, what are we going to do? And I think his reaction was just so funny. We have like a little banter back and forth, but that was on Tuesday. And then Saturday I did suited up swims and I did really well. And he was like, those were really good. And I told him, I said, well, it took me 3 practices of feeling bad. But it's just his way of just allowing me to not be too hard on myself. And I haven't had that constant reminder so much in my swimming career. And so that's been really special. And I think with my teammates, it's just they just make it fun. Like, it's just so much fun. We have a lot of fun talking and joking on the wall, a lot of fun doing hard sets together and encouraging each other. So it's just a good group to train with.
What advice would you give now, having gone through this, to any younger athlete, any athlete in general that's listening to this, that has faced a setback, that is facing an injury, that's kind of also in their comeback season? What would you say to them?
I would say that it's very important to be patient with yourself. That's something I really struggle with, but patience truly is a virtue, and it ultimately makes you a better person, not just through that one particular season you're going through, but any other hardship that you're going to face in your life, because you are going to. And having that level of patience and, most importantly, grace as you're going through that process is super important. I think just showing up every day and giving it your best is enough. Don't focus on the day you had in the past, focus on the current and not the future. And I think when you continue to stack up those good days, or you stack up the I gave my best today, that you're going to look back and wonder, well, how did I make it? But it's because you had patience, it's because you were persistent, and it's because along the way, even when things got hard, you remained proud of yourself, you gave yourself grace, and you just acknowledge yourself for doing something hard, because it is. And I think when you acknowledge that you're doing something hard, you develop kind of this sense of calm and strength that this is hard. It's okay if I struggle through it, but I'm going to get through it.
If the whole podcast was just that last
Yeah, I'm
2
like,
minutes.
just clip that and then send it out and everyone will be all set.
Like, that's it. That's it. We can just drop the mic right now. But it's so powerful, Simone.
Yeah.
And I know that you know how impactful your words are. And that's also what I want to go into a little bit is what a role model you are, not just for the entire sport of swimming and for athletics in general, but particularly for underrepresented communities. And, you know, going back to 2016, the first Black woman ever to win an individual gold medal in swimming. And I know how seriously you take that. And we're going to talk about your foundation a little bit in a minute too, but I wanted to go back to that gold medal moment, because while I know that it is a responsibility that you are so grateful to have, there is also, you've talked about the pressure that comes along with that. So talk to us a little bit about what that journey has been like for you, and you have felt like you've looked up to trailblazers like the Williams sisters and Cullen Jones and Maritza, and now you are that trailblazer, and what that feels like for you.
It's an honor. I mean, I never would have thought that me learning how to swim would take me to, you know, become a history maker, but I know what my journey has looked like. I know what it has felt like. And I think that allows me to be able to relate to other Black and brown individuals in the sport. And my only hope is that my journey can inspire them to reach the top of the podium. I think that it is a huge responsibility. I think that I felt the pressure to continue to perform and be at the top of the podium, because I know there's always a new generation coming behind, and I want them to be able to look at something on the TV and say, oh, Simone did it, I can do it too, just like some did in 2016. So I feel like, in a way, it is a lot of pressure that I have to continue on this legacy of hopefully winning, to continue to inspire the next generation. But it's something that I'm super honored to kind of have that title and inspire people through my words, through my actions, through the way I carry myself, and hopefully through, you know, advice, awareness, and mentorship, so that we can hopefully diversify the sport of swimming.
It's so important. And I know you know this, but I'm going to say it just for the sake of saying it. It doesn't take you winning to be that role model.
I was like, wait a second.
You know, like, obviously you being on top of the podium, unbelievable. Like that was incredible. But I can guarantee you that there were just as many young athletes that looked at you as you qualified for the 50 free after not making the 100 that were equally, if not more so, inspired by seeing you go through something so challenging and to just see you fight and to see your grit. Like there's so much inspiration in that. And you've started the Simone Manuel Foundation, which is so incredible, focused on BIPOC communities, bringing awareness around water safety. What made you decide to start the foundation, and how has that become a part of your life?
I think it's something that I've always kind of wanted to do. I float ideas to my parents all the time, and it's just been something I haven't been able to necessarily have the means to start one. And then Nike gave me a wonderful donation, and I decided, hey, why not? Let's do it. And so with that money, I started the Simone Manuel Foundation, which is focused on water safety awareness for BIPOC communities. And I just want to create positive readiness swim awareness. I think that when we look at kids learning how to swim, sometimes it's not always positive. And especially in the Black community, most of the stories that we hear about are of kids getting in the pool and unfortunately drowning, and not understanding the importance of water safety. And I just kind of want to directly impact my community and provide possibilities for them. Swimming wasn't necessarily something that I saw as a possibility for me. At one point in my swimming career, I thought about choosing another sport, but it's such a wonderful sport. I know we can be really good at it. I know we can see more Black Americans on the podium and have less first. Firsts are amazing, but I'd love to see more. And so that's kind of why I started the Simone Manuel Foundation. I just want to make swimming a safe space for us, because sometimes it's not, unfortunately. And so that's something I want to provide through the foundation.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's going to be so impactful, Simone. Already is, and will continue to
Yes.
to do so for so long.
So I want to talk about your house, because I am a really bad designer. My husband is way better of an interior designer than me. But it sounds like you have a knack for it. So tell us. No, you don't have a knack for it. Is Denzel the designer then? Oh, okay. That makes me feel way better, honestly. So tell us about your designing troubles of your new house that you just bought.
Yeah, so I'm indecisive. I'm actually a very indecisive person. I don't want to make the wrong decision. And I think I am overwhelmed by, like HGTV or people's like DIY Instagram accounts where everything looks beautiful and polished. And I'm like this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. I can't decide. And so I don't want to make a decision and pay for something and then look back and not like it. So right now I have just been kind of continuing to gather inspiration, create some mood boards, scan the room and kind of like put furniture in there. Like technology is amazing. But yeah, Denzel works in construction. So he sees these things and he knows what material looks best and what things are on trend. So I haven't been able to put too much of my voice into things because.
Do you trust him? Do you trust him? Okay, that's good. That's good. You need to hire her.
Yeah, exactly. So,
It sounds like a perfect balance. Yeah. And the mood board, I feel like is a great place to start.
Yes.
Like you were right on track with the mood board. Always kind of scale it back. We have a friend right now, Aubrey. Her name's Aubrey. And she just bought a house. And I mean, I'm so impressed because she will send us like 2 or 3 different like elaborate mood boards and be like, which one do you like best?
Oh
and we're like, all of them? Like,
yeah, we're not very helpful in that way.
So I totally understand the indecisiveness. And so let's say Saturday morning workout, it's done. You've got the rest of Saturday and Sunday. What does that look like for you and Denzel? What are you guys doing? And what does your life look like right now away from the pool?
Recently, it's been nothing.
Just sitting on the couch, watching HGTV.
Watching sports. I love sports, all sports. So we'll watch sports. I'll usually do some recovery, get in the ice bath, Normatec. I have a sauna blanket, so I'll do that. Sometimes we'll get out, we'll have dinner, but most of the time it's just been relax and just spend time with each other. I think that's also partially because swim meets take time away from your partner. I'm also going back up to Colorado for 4.5 weeks. So we've just been kind of just spending the weekends really just like at home, enjoying our house and spending time with each other, working on the Google document, the Google slides that I have of all the things I like. Last weekend we did go furniture shopping. So we're getting there bit by bit. So most of it's just been relaxing.
Good. You say sports. Do you have like football, basketball, all of them?
I love watching basketball, women's and men's. Tennis. I watched the Australian Open when it wasn't on at 2 a.m. in the morning. I watch everything. They have kickball on ESPN, so I watch that.
Do they really?
I like current events, or like sporting current events per se.
Are there any other athletes from other sports that you've gotten really close with that you maybe never would have thought there would have been a relationship there?
Not really, honestly. I mean, I do know a couple, especially, because my agent represents several different sports. But I wouldn't say there's one that I've gotten super close with.
It's so hard with schedules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You see each other less than you see other swimmers because it's
Exactly.
normally an award show or something. And then you go another 5 years without seeing them.
And you're like, oh, hey, 5 years ago. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're taking the time to rest right now with everything coming up. I feel like that's perfect and exactly what you guys should be doing and enjoying each other, especially in those first amazing few years of marriage. And we are so thankful for our time. We want to be respectful of it. So we'll go into our final 3 questions that we ask all of our guests. So the first question is, what is a moment within the sport of swimming that has brought you the most amount of joy?
I'd have to say probably my experience in Rio. I feel like that's usually my answer. Just winning that gold medal was super special. And then winning the silver in the 50 free and just being a part of those relays. And it was just like a perfect, in my opinion, perfect first Olympic experience from my performance standpoint, but also just from the experience of being on Team USA was just really special. So I'd have to say that's been my most memorable swimming experience.
We have so many people who talk about the experience of winning, but then the experience of like the first time they get to see their loved ones. Like I have moments like, in my head of like my mom crying. Like, can you tell us about that moment?
Yeah, so after the podium and the ceremony of the 100 free, I walked around and my mom got down from her seat all the way to kind of like I don't even know what you call it, but like the bottom of the stands where I could climb up, basically where the photographers were, climb up the bleachers and give her a hug. That was super special. I didn't see them right after the 100 free. Like I know some people go see their family outside of the village, but at other events to swim, but just seeing her there and then FaceTiming my family, it was really special.
It's amazing.
I know.
All right, well, same question. So moment, memory, experience outside the sport of swimming that's brought you the most joy.
I would have to say the wedding.
Yeah, of course.
We've had a lot of newlyweds on.
I know, a lot of newlyweds. I love it.
It's been the most recent one, so that one's been really special.
One particular moment at the wedding?
Okay, so another particular moment besides the ballet dancers was, so my whole family and extended family is from New Orleans. Like my brothers and I are like the only cousins born in Houston, but all of my extended family is from New Orleans, and we had a second line band perform. And so we went from the reception space down the escalator to the entry of the hotel and in the streets and just second lined around the hotel. And that was really special because
That's
it's like,
so cool.
we brought New Orleans to Houston and we shut Houston down. That was
Yeah.
really cool.
That's awesome.
That is so much fun. Oh my gosh, I love that. And then final question is, what is a word that encompasses something that motivates you right now, something that you're working on, or just something that you're looking forward to for this next year?
So my word is unfinished. It kind of came from my mom, but she doesn't like to call what I have been going through a comeback. She says, I'm just unfinished. And I like that a lot because I think it speaks definitely to the swimming goals I have, but also just me as a person. I think we're always unfinished. In some ways, we all are striving to be better. Not to a fault. We need to work on that. Not to a fault. But we always have more to accomplish, even in spaces where you may have felt like you have failed. We're just unfinished. We're just not. I'm not explaining this very well.
No, you're explaining it perfectly.
Yeah, you're explaining it perfect. Like, we all have things to work on and strive for and get better. And like, that's life. That's what makes things exciting and fun and fulfilling. Yeah, I love that.
And I think it's just applicable.
I think it's just, she doesn't, when she explained it to me, it's like the comeback is just like, it's just this one definitive thing versus unfinished is just a continual thing that we all have until, unfortunately, we pass away. But there's always more to do. There's always more to accomplish and work on, and we won't be finished until it's our time. That sounds very morbid.
I love it. No, I think that's motivating more than anything. Like, there's not a time in my life that I want to be finished until
that's
it's
just
my
depressing.
Time.
That's sort of like, oh, I'm 40 and I'm finished.
I'm as good as it's gonna get.
That's awful. So I love like putting it that way because I do think people struggle. Like, they accomplish something really great and they're like, now what? Because they think that's, oh, I'm done. Like, no, you're always unfinished. Perfect.
Yeah. And it's nice to reframe the comeback too, because that takes some of the pressure off that as well. That it's not just this one thing. It's you and who you are as a human being and this journey that you're on and how this certain aspect of it is helping you grow and learn things that you never would have otherwise. So I love that. Props to your mom. Well, we are so thankful to have had you on, Simone. This conversation was, I know, everything that we'd hoped it would be and so much more. Just thank you for the representative you are, not just for underrepresented communities in our sport, for our sport in general. You are an incredible role model and representative, and we've been so inspired by watching your journey and the way that you have handled everything that has been thrown at you. And we are just really excited to see you happy and in a great place and excited for this next year. And we cannot wait to watch and see everything that's in store.
Thank you.
Of course. We'll talk to you soon, Simone.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening and watching Unfiltered Waters. We are so grateful for your support. If you could please hit that subscribe button on any of the channels that you're watching and maybe even give us a rating or review, we would appreciate it so much. Thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.